The sun was red and dying. Dust flew through the air like smoke. The crowd of aliens screamed from their seats, high above the arena. Their voices echoed across the city ruins. In the center of the arena stood a human man alone. His name was Rayan. He was tall, strong, and his fists were bleeding. Around him lay 6 alien fighters. Huge, powerful creatures with sharp claws and glowing eyes. All of them were now unconscious. Rayan had no weapon, no armor, only blood on his knuckles and fire in his eyes. The alien crowd went silent. No one expected this. A human defeating trained alien warriors with bare hands. In the royal balcony, a woman stood. Her skin was silver blue. Her hair floated like it was underwater. Her eyes glowed softly like twin moons. Her name was Princess Alira. She watched Rayan closely. Then, very softly, she whispered, "I wish you were my husband." No one heard her. Not yet. 1 week ago. Rayan was not a fighter. He was a mechanic from Earth. He fixed machines and drove trucks in desert towns. But one night, while driving, something strange happened. The sky cracked open with white light. His truck stopped. Everything went dark. When he woke up, he was no longer on Earth. He was on Zyrak 7, an alien world ruled by tall, cold-hearted beings. They had captured humans before, but Rayan was different. He refused to beg. He refused to kneel, so they threw him into the arena of dust, a place where prisoners fought for survival while aliens watched and cheered. But Rayan didn't just survive. He fought back. Back in the arena, Rayan stood straight. His chest rose and fell with each breath. He looked up at the crowd, no fear in his eyes. Alien guards moved toward him. They held electric spears, ready to shock him, but none dared to step too close. From the royal balcony, Alira raised her hand. "Stop," she said. Her voice was calm, but sharp. The guards froze. Alira looked at Rayan with interest. "Who taught you to fight like this?" "Human." Rayan didn't answer. She smiled slightly. Prideful, like a warrior, he replied finally, his voice rough. "I didn't fight to entertain you. I fought to live." The alien lords laughed. But Alira didn't. She turned to her advisor. "Bring him to the holding chamber. I wish to observe." Later that evening, Rayan sat alone in a cold metal room. His hands were in chains. The wounds on his fists were still open, but he didn't complain. The door opened. Alira entered, followed by 2 guards. "You're lucky," she said, walking closer. "Most humans die on the first day." Rayan looked up. "Then maybe I'm not like most." Alira tilted her head. "You speak with no fear. Do you know where you are?" "In a cage. Like an animal." "No," she said. "You're in our greatest arena. You are watched by millions. And now, you are famous." He laughed quietly. "I didn't ask for fame." She took a step closer, lowering her voice. "Why don't you use weapons?" Rayan looked into her glowing eyes. "On Earth we learned to survive without them. Hands are enough." Alira smiled again, this time, not politely, but truly. A strange spark passed between them. "Tomorrow," she said, "your fight will be different. Be ready." She turned to leave. But before she exited, she looked back and whispered to herself once more, "I wish you were my husband." Outside the chamber, her advisor frowned. "Princess, why do you care for this creature?" Alira's eyes stayed on the door. "He is not just a creature, he is something new." That night, Rayan could not sleep. The room was silent, but his mind was full of questions. Why did that woman defend him? Why did she look at him like that? And what kind of fight was waiting tomorrow? He closed his eyes, but deep in his heart he knew this was not just survival anymore. Something bigger had begun, and he was right. Tomorrow everything would change. It began with a dream. Rayan stood in the middle of the arena again, but this time there was no dust, no crowd, no blood. The sky was full of stars, and everything was silent. From the darkness a voice whispered, "Do not die tomorrow." He turned. Princess Alira stood behind him, her silver skin glowing in the starlight. She wore no crown, no guards, just her eyes bright and strange. Then the stars shattered like glass. Rayan woke up in chains, heart pounding. It was still night. It had only been a dream. Or was it? Far above, in the tower of glass and stone, Princess Alira sat alone in her chamber. Her fingers tapped gently on the table. A glowing screen showed Rayan's face. Tired, injured, stubborn. She had seen warriors from 100 worlds. Stronger, faster, more dangerous, but none like him. "He fights like he has nothing to lose," she said to herself. "Or like he's already lost everything." The door opened. Her mother, Queen Avesha, entered. "You left the balcony early," the queen said, her voice cold. "Why?" Alira stood quickly. "I felt tired, mother." The queen walked slowly, her long robe trailing behind her. "Is it because of the human?" Alira said nothing. The queen's eyes narrowed. "He is not a soldier. He is not important. But if you give him attention, others will start watching too. That is dangerous." "I was only curious," Alira replied calmly. "That's all." But it wasn't the truth. Back in the underground cells, Rayan was taken from his room by 2 guards. No words, no explanations, just cuffs and silence. They walked through a dark hallway, lit only by green lights. Everything smelled of metal and oil. At the end of the hall, A small room opened and Elira was already there, waiting. "Sit," she said. Rayan sat down slowly, his eyes watching everything. "You don't like surprises," she said. "I don't like cages." Elira smiled. "Fair." She motioned to the guards to leave. "Alone now." She leaned forward. "You're wondering why I'm here?" Rayan nodded. She placed a small silver box on the table and pressed it. A soft hum filled the air. "This blocks the cameras and mics. We can speak freely." Rayan raised an eyebrow. "So now we're rebels?" "Not yet," she said, "but maybe someday." He chuckled dryly. "What do you want from me?" "I want to understand you." Rayan leaned back. "There's nothing to understand. I fight, I survive. That's it." "No," she said. "You didn't kill your last opponent. You had a chance, and you stopped." "I'm not a killer." "Exactly," she said. "That's what makes you dangerous. In a world of monsters, you stayed human." They sat in silence for a moment. Then she added, almost to herself, "You remind me of the stories I heard as a child, before the wars." Rayan looked at her, differently now. Less like a queen, more like a prisoner of a different kind. "Why are you telling me this?" he asked. "Because," she said, "tomorrow, they will send you to fight something that isn't a soldier. It's a beast, a living weapon. If you die, this conversation ends forever. And if I win," Elira leaned closer, "then you'll have more than my attention." That night, whispers spread through the palace. The princess met the human in secret. She blocked the security feed. "She's hiding something." Someone was listening and someone was not happy. Far below, Rayan was returned to his cell, but he could still hear her words in his mind. A beast, a living weapon. He looked at his hands. Broken knuckles, scars, no armor, no help. And yet, part of him was ready. He stood, looked through the narrow window and whispered, "Let them come." In the royal tower, Elira stared at the stars. "I wish you were my husband," she whispered again, but this time her voice was heavier. Not with romance. But with fear, because deep down she knew if he dies tomorrow, the last good thing in their world might die with him. The walls were shaking, not from sound, from something deeper, like the bones of the world were groaning. Deep below the city, in a dark lab filled with green smoke, a creature opened its eyes. 4 of them, yellow, hungry. The scientists stood far away, behind thick glass. One of them whispered, "Is it ready?" Another replied, "It's never ready, it just kills." The beast growled. Far above, Rayan sat quietly in his cell. He didn't know what was waiting, but his gut told him something was wrong. This didn't feel like a normal fight. This felt like a setup, a death sentence. The guards came early. No chains this time, just silence. They didn't even look at him. Strange, they walked him through a tunnel he had never seen before. It was cold, wet. The floor was made of black stone, and the lights flickered above that. At the end, a door opened. Bright white light poured in. Rayan stepped out and froze. This was not the normal arena. It was smaller, closed. The walls were covered in dark metal. There were no seats, no crowd, just a single viewing window high above where Elira stood. Her eyes met his. And that's when he knew. This wasn't a fight. This was a test. A siren echoed through the chamber. A voice announced, "Subject 7 is released. Begin countdown." The opposite wall opened, and the beast walked in. It stood nearly 10 feet tall, skin like wet armor, spikes along its back, long arms that reached its knees. No mouth. Just rows of teeth on its chest, opening and closing like breathing wounds. Rayan took one step back. He had no weapon, no armor, only instinct. The beast screamed, not with sound, but with vibration. The metal walls shook. Rayan's ears rang. Blood dripped from his nose. He dodged left just as the beast charged. It hit the wall like a truck. The impact left a dent. Rayan ran. No plan, no idea what this thing could do. Only one rule: stay alive. In the viewing room, Elira clenched her fists. "He's fast," said one advisor. "But the beast will tire him," said another. "Then it will crush him." Elira didn't answer. Her eyes never left Rayan. Back inside the chamber, Rayan ducked behind a pillar. He needed time, a plan. He looked around the walls, the floor, the ceiling. Then he saw it, a loose power panel near the top corner. Exposed wires, electric lines maybe, just maybe. He ran toward the wall and climbed the narrow supports. The beast followed, slamming the wall. Rayan nearly fell, but he reached the panel, ripped the wires. Free. Sparks flew. He twisted 2 wires together and waited. The beast was already below, jumping. At the last second, Rayan dropped the live wires onto the wet floor below. Step. The current hit the beast like a lightning strike. It screamed, body shaking, limbs flailing. Smoke rose from its skin. It didn't die, but it dropped to one knee, and that was enough. Rayan leapt down, landed hard, and smashed a pipe across its eye. Again, until it stopped moving. He stood over the beast, chest rising and falling like a storm. Silence. Then the voice returned. "Test complete." In the control room, the scientists stared in shock. "That's impossible." He beat it without a weapon. He used the arena itself like a tool. Elira smiled, just a little. Later in his cell, Rayan sat alone again. His hands were burned. His arm was cut. But he was alive, and something had changed. The guards didn't mock him anymore. They looked at him like a problem. That night, Alira returned. No guards this time. Just her, and a small silver medical box. "I thought you'd be dead," she said softly. "I thought I'd be dinner," Rayan replied. She knelt beside him and cleaned his wounds. "I'm not supposed to be here," she said. "If they catch me, why risk it?" She looked up at him. "You're not just strong, you're smart, you think like us, but fight like something else, like you belong to no one." Rayan didn't answer, but in that moment, their silence said everything. Outside, in the dark corners of the palace, someone else was watching, listening, and they did not like what they saw. Far away, in a secret chamber, a dark figure spoke into a communicator. "The human must die before the next moon. If the princess keeps protecting him, she'll fall with him." Rain fell for the first time in 7 years. Cold, silent, soft. The people of Zyrak 7 looked up in surprise. The city had forgotten what water from the sky felt like, but in the palace tower, Princess Alira didn't watch the rain. She stared at her reflection. Not the crown, not the silk robe, not the glowing eyes. She stared at the person beneath it all. "I can't keep pretending," she whispered. Outside her chamber, voices grew louder. The guards, her advisor, the queen. Soon, royal decision would be made. She was to be married, not by choice, not for love, for power, but her thoughts were with someone else. Someone in the dark prison below, in the lower levels. Rayan lay awake on the cold floor. His body was healing, but his mind wasn't resting. He kept replaying the fight with the beast, the way the walls vibrated, the smell of burning flesh, the cold fear. He had faced death before, but this time, someone had watched him, cared if he lived. Why? That question kept him awake more than the pain. That night, a shadow entered his cell. No keys, no alarms, just soft footsteps and the smell of rain. Alira stepped into the dim light. She wore no royal clothes, only a dark cloak. "You shouldn't be here," Rayan said. "I know." She knelt beside him and placed something on the ground, a map. He sat up. "What's this?" "A way out." She spoke quickly, quietly. "There's an old waste tunnel below the arena. It's sealed now, but not completely. My ancestors used it during the First War." Rayan looked at the map. "How do you know it's still there?" "I checked the blueprints myself. It still exists. If you escape during the next fight, you can disappear." He stared at her. "Why are you doing this?" Alira hesitated, then said softly, "Because I think you're the only real thing in this place." She looked away. "This world eats truth, but you're something different." Rayan folded the map and hid it in his shirt. "You're risking your life." "So are you," she replied. Suddenly noise. Footsteps. Close. Alira froze. "That's not my guard." Rayan moved fast. "Hide behind the door." The cell door opened. A figure stepped in. A tall alien with sharp armor and glowing red tattoos. General Croth. He paused when he saw Rayan, then narrowed his eyes. "Talking to ghosts again." Human. Rayan shrugged. "I like hearing myself talk." Croth stepped closer. His voice was cold. "The queen has made her choice. The princess is to marry Lord Vexor. The wedding is in 3 cycles. Lucky guy." Rayan muttered. "Not for you." Croth sneered. "After that, you fight one last time. No escape, no mercy." He turned to leave, but before walking out, he stopped. "I know someone's helping you." He looked around the cell and smiled. "We'll find out who." Then he was gone. Alira stepped out, pale. "They're watching." Rayan looked at her. "Then we don't wait. We do this now." Later that night, Alira returned to her tower. Queen Avacia stood by the window, watching the rain. "You were gone," she said. Alira didn't reply. The queen turned. Her face was calm. "You think I don't see what's happening?" Alira stayed silent. The queen stepped forward. "You forget, child love is a weakness. Power is what keeps you safe." "I don't want your safety," Alira said. "I want something real." The queen's eyes went cold. "Then you will destroy everything." Meanwhile, Rayan was preparing. He studied the map, memorized the path, counted the guards, timed their footsteps. Tomorrow, there would be another fight. And this time, he wouldn't fight to entertain. He would fight to disappear, to escape, to start something new. But deep down, he knew, if Alira was caught, they would kill her first. Far across the city, in a smoky chamber, Lord Vexor watched a screen showing Rayan's cell. His voice was low, sharp. "Kill the human if he tries to run." He leaned forward. "And kill her too." There was no sunrise. The sky over Zyrak 7 was covered in smoke, not from fire, from ships. Heavy black warships hovered above the city, silent and waiting. They didn't come for battle. They came for celebration. The royal wedding was just 3 cycles away, and the queen wanted the world to watch. But underground, far from the towers and music, a different kind of plan was about to begin. A plan to escape, a plan to survive, and someone was about to ruin everything. Rayan stood in the prep chamber beneath the arena. His fists were wrapped in cloth. Sweat ran down his back. He wasn't nervous. He was focused. Every second mattered. He had studied the guards' rotations. He had memorized the tunnel path. He had one chance during the distraction of combat to vanish beneath the floor and disappear into the old waste. System. His breathing slowed. He wasn't just fighting to live today. He was fighting for her. Above, Princess Illyra sat beside the queen in the viewing balcony. Her face was calm, but her heart was on fire. She looked at the arena gate. She whispered, "Be faster than their fear." The gates opened. Rayan stepped into the sand. Another fighter waited on the opposite side, a four-armed brute with glowing blades. Rayan didn't care. He was already planning every movement. Duck, roll, slide to the panel, break the grate, drop, but he didn't know. He had been betrayed. In the palace, inside a cold room lit by red screens. A message had been sent the night before. Someone had told the queen. Illyra helped him. A silent bounty had been placed. A trap had been set and Rayan walked straight into it. The fight began. The alien charged. Rayan dodged, just as planned, and rolled toward the far wall. His hands reached the hidden floor grate. It opened icily to icily. That's when he knew this was not an escape. This was a baited path. He dropped through the grate anyway, and landed in darkness, but not alone. 5 elite guards were waiting below, weapons drawn. Rayan's breath caught. The fight hadn't started. It had just changed shape above. Illyra waited seconds. Passed. No movement, no sounds. Then boom. A tremor shook the arena. Gas filled the viewing rooms. Guards ran. Chaos began. Illyra stood suddenly. No. Her plan had been twisted underground. In the dark tunnels, metal clashed against bone. Rayan fought like a machine. He stole a blade mid-fight, took down 2 guards, but they were trained, organized. One stabbed him in the side. He dropped to one knee. Blood ran down his ribs. They circled him, then gunfire. Not from them, from behind. Illyra. Hidden contact. A resistance fighter from the slums blasted down the guards. A woman with half a face and cybernetic arms. "You're late," she growled. Rayan gasped. "You're real." She threw him a stack. "You want to live or chat?" In the palace, alarms screamed. The queen shouted, "Find my daughter." But Illyra was already gone. Through back halls, through locked doors. She had made her choice. She was going to him. Outside the marketplace, the city was breaking apart. Protesters, soldiers, riots, resistance, banners. Something had shifted. The people had seen Rayan fight beasts. They had heard whispers. The queen was no longer untouchable, and someone wanted that change. Rayan limped through the tunnel with his rescuer. Blood stained his side. "You okay?" she asked. "I'll make it." "Where's the girl?" "She come." The fighter looked at him. "You really believe that?" "I do." Then doors burst open. More guards. Too many. The fighter turned. "You go. I'll hold them. You won't survive." Didn't plan to. She charged them. Blasters, smoke, screams. Rayan escaped into the next tunnel. Illyra arrived at the chamber entrance. Guards blocked the door. She raised her hand. A hidden blade slid from her sleeve. No more hiding. She moved fast. Too fast. 2 guards down. 1 kicked aside. She opened the hatch, just in time to see Rayan collapse. She caught him. Held him. Blood on her hands. "I'm sorry," she whispered. He smiled through the pain. "You're late. You waited. I would have waited forever." Suddenly a loudspeaker crackled. "To life." The queen's voice echoed across the city. "My daughter has betrayed the crown. She walks with the enemy. Let it be known. Any who protect her will burn." Illyra stood, eyes cold, face strong. She looked down at Rayan. "We don't run anymore." She helped him up. He smiled. "Weak, bloody, alive, and ready." Someone painted a red handprint on the palace wall. No words. No banners. Just a hand. Small, human, sized. It appeared during the night in the center of the capital, 10 meters tall. No one saw who did it. But by morning, every citizen had seen it. Some were afraid, some were angry, but most were curious. Who left the mark and what did it mean? The Empire knew exactly who it was, and that's what scared them most. Rayan was no longer just a prisoner. He was a symbol. Now. The man who survived the beast, the man the princess chose, the man who bled, but stood. In a hidden chamber beneath the old arena. Rayan stood before a crowd, not of gods, but of rebels. Aliens from every caste, every class. They looked at him like he was already a legend. He didn't want to be, but he understood now. "This isn't about me," he said. His voice was rough, but steady. "It's about what comes after me." Beside him, Illyra watched. Her robe was gone. She wore armor now, black and simple, a blade at her side. She was no longer a princess. She had become something else. A resistance leader. An old alien named Duran stood forward. "You've started something, but it won't be enough unless we strike soon." Rayan nodded. "We're not attacking a building, we're attacking an idea." He pointed to a hollow map of the capital. "The people are ready. They just don't know they are." Outside, the city trembled. Towers of gold and glass cast long shadows. Warships circled slowly. The queen was preparing for a public wedding. The final move to crush Illyra's name and chain her into loyalty, but she didn't know. Illyra had already chosen her side. In the deepest vaults of the palace, General Croth gave orders. "Find the human, break the rebels, burn the slums." Lord Vexer stepped beside him. "Let them rise," he said coldly. "We'll crush them in front of the world." They didn't fear the rebels, they feared what would happen if the people believed in them. Later, in a forgotten workshop, Rayan sat alone. His arm was wrapped, his wounds still healing. He stared at a small object in his hand, a bent screw from his old truck. The only thing he had left from Earth. He smiled. I didn't come here to be a hero, he whispered, but maybe the galaxy needs one. Alira entered quietly. She sat beside him. I used to dream about other planets, she said, when I was a girl. I thought space was full of wonders. Rayan chuckled. It is, it just comes with monsters, too. She looked at him. You're not just fighting for Earth now, I know, he said. I'm fighting for yours, too. She took his hand. You're not alone. At dawn, the resistance moved. Like smoke through the alleys, like fire beneath the surface. They hacked doors, shut down sensors, jammed signals. The Queen's wedding broadcast would begin in 1 hour. But the city had already changed. The people were already choosing sides. Back in the palace, Croth entered the Queen's chamber. We have a problem, he said. The Queen didn't flinch. We have an empire, she replied. He hesitated. Your daughter, she's coming for the ceremony. With the human. Croth nodded. The Queen smiled. Good. Let the galaxy watch her break. As the final hour began, Rayan stepped into a stolen dropship. The rebels followed in silence. This wasn't just a rescue mission. It was a message to every slave, every silenced voice, every eye behind every screen. The human had come to end the silence. And far below, the red handprint still bled rainwater down the palace wall. A whisper passed through the city like wind. He's not one of us, but he fights like we should have. A single flower grew between 2 stones. No one planted it, no one watered it, but there it was, soft, alive, defiant, in the middle of the palace courtyard where soldiers marched and nothing ever bloomed. The wind touched its petals. No one noticed. Except her. Princess Alira paused as she crossed the marble path. She looked down, smiled softly, and kept walking toward the ceremony hall behind her. War was breathing. In the skies above, stolen rebel ships broke formation. The Queen's fleet moved fast, but not fast enough. Rayan stood in the lead dropship, blood still drying on his arm. He wore no armor, only a dark jacket and a purpose too heavy for words around him. Rebels checked weapons. He didn't speak, he just stared at the palace. Getting closer. The capital was already shaking. Guards locked gates. Civilians screamed. Alarms echoed. But the Queen's voice boomed from every screen. Today is the day of unity. My daughter will marry Lord Vexa. The bloodline will remain pure. Order will rise again. In the hall, Alira stood on the grand platform, beside Vexa, tall, cold, proud. He leaned close to her and whispered, smile. She did, but not the way he expected. Boom, the wall behind the platform exploded. Smoke, fire, screams. Rayan stepped through, followed by a flood of rebels. The crowd panicked. The Queen stood. Stop him, she shouted. Kill him. Guards rushed forward. Blasters fired. Rayan rolled behind a column, returned fire. Moved fast, clean, focused. He wasn't here to win a war. He was here to choose her back. Vexa roared and leaped down from the stage. He drew his energy blade and charged. Rayan met him head-on. Their weapons clashed. Sparks flew. Feet slid. Fists struck. Vexa was stronger, bigger, trained. But Rayan was fighting for something real, and that made him dangerous. Alira moved fast, ripping her blade from her dress folds, slicing a guard's hand, diving into the chaos. She reached the floor as Rayan fell hard. Blood on his lip. Vexa raised his blade for the kill, but Alira blocked it. Steel against steel. Sparks lit her face. Vexa stared at her. What are you doing? She looked at Rayan, then at her mother. And said it loud. So all of Zyraxavan could hear. I choose the human. The room went still. The Queen's face twisted in fury. He is filth, she screamed. He is nothing. Alira stepped forward. He has no bloodline, no rank, no power, and yet, he fights harder than your entire empire. She helped Rayan up. He bled for strangers. He spared enemies. He taught me that strength is not what you crush, it's what you protect. She turned to the crowd. Can kill us, but if one man with no armor can survive your monsters, maybe you're not gods anymore. Rayan stood beside her now, breathing hard. Blade in hand. He said nothing, but his presence said everything. Vexa charged one last time, rage in his eyes. Rayan didn't dodge this time. He met him, one punch, then two, then a blade to the chest. Vexa fell. Hard. Done. Guards dropped their weapons. Rebels filled the hall. Cameras streamed the scene. Across the planet, for the first time in history, the people saw the Empire bleed, and they did not cry. The Queen backed away. No. This isn't how it ends. Alira stepped toward her. It already ended. That night, the flags of the old empire were pulled down. The towers no longer glowed red. And in the same courtyard where no flowers grew, more began to bloom. In a quiet room, Rayan sat on a balcony, looking at the stars. Alira joined him. She placed a small device in front of him, a communicator. It's connected to deep space now. You could call your people. Go home. He looked at her. Then at the stars, then smiled. I think I found something better than home. Far across the city, on a crumbling wall, someone painted a new symbol. a red hand, next to it, a blue one, together tied by side.